That was it. That was interesting. Taking over the show for the first couple of minutes. I like to do that.
Did you have the sound effects machine with you?
I actually told them, I let them know, hey guys, I don't do the pew pews, so we're gonna have to wait for pew pews.
Wait, we're waiting on pew pews, everybody.
Government secrets with Lee Cameron episode 28. Demonetized by the CIA.
Oh man, I really hope that you were on the demonetization path, whether we had government secrets or not, because I would feel really bad if with my JFK assassination three-parter, I sucked you down into this.
I am the reverse. I really want that to be the reason I got demonetized. I really want this show to be a huge financial burden. I really want it to So
you're like, Lee, I was never even going to say JFK's name until you brought this shit up.
I mean, it is like, I was like, Lee, I was government secrets, just like, oh, there's an extra hidden bathroom that's not on the blueprints of like the Capitol. I didn't think you were going to be talking about this stuff. You made it crazy.
I was really hoping we just cover how like the Ronald Reagan had M&Ms on the White House with the presidential logo on it. Like, I thought that would be most of what we covered.
Yeah, just like, a secret drawer in the desk or something. I don't know.
Gerald Ford had one ball, like that kind of stuff. Oh.
Is that true? Is that a
government secret bonus? Gerald Ford's one ball, just like Hitler.
Well, that just got me deplatformed, making that correlation.
Yeah, I know. What are we going to say now that just gets us completely? They're going to remove our channels and just put up a logo that says, "Yeah, fuck this shit."
It's just like this has been. I feel like every time you and I do this show, it's like, man, look what happened since the last time we got together. Like, there's always something like. We had Leafgate. We've had a crazy election. We've had all this stuff.
Yeah, and now the difference is it's coming after us. But
yeah,
I don't. Well, I suppose I've been covering your situation as well. I mentioned it on the Redacted tonight. It airs tonight, but we already taped it. But even so, in case there's 5 people out there that they exclusively hear about our stuff from government secrets. Just to be clear, Graham's channel has been demonetized, along with several other progressive, although I would even say Ford Fisher's not even progressive. He just goes around filming whatever's happening. And Ford Fisher demonetized, progressive, Soapbox, Convo Couch.
Jamari Thomas. I think
Jamarl.
Yeah, it's close to 10 shows is what I heard, if not even more. I mean, and so everybody like, Ron Placone, Jimmy Dore. I mean, I've talked to Kim Iverson. They're all just like waiting for it to hit them.
Right. And I always wonder with these things, is there like a size that they won't go after? Like, is Jimmy big enough? They're like, they'd never touch him, or I don't know. I mean, you were no small channel. Neither are some of these others. And I don't know.
It feels like maybe it's everybody under 150, 200,000 or something like that is getting it in terms of subscriber count. Cause I'm at 75,000. So I was just on Status Coup with Jordan Sheridan, and he was telling me they've cut his live stream. They've done all this other stuff. This is nuts. The fact that it's like, this is the week, like they literally, it almost feels like what happened last week with Wall Street Bets. They're like, all right, that's enough. And they're just like,
well, I think, but it was before that. Cause it just was more right wing. It was 70,000 QAnon, supporters or whatever from Twitter. And, with those type of things, it's like, so let me get this straight. Being an idiot is now a bannable offense. Like, I mean, unless these people are saying, let's kill people, like you should be entitled to be an idiot, because that's most of America right there. And I haven't done it yet, but I watched a Fox News segment just because I was going to criticize everything they're getting. And it's like the amount of idiocy, the amount of levels of just dumb stacked on top of wrong, stacked on top of straight up propaganda is like too much to even dig into. Like, it's just scary to even begin to break it down. And you're like, so let me get this straight. That shit is fine on YouTube. Fox News not demonetized. They're doing great work. Great work, Fox News. Like, it's insane.
I mean, it's really like, it's, I mean, it's hard to like, it's funny. It's all I've been really talking about all week, you know, even just privately and being on other people's shows and on my show and this, and I knew this day was coming because we've been watching this happen for years. I mean, I've been watching like any video I put Yemen or Syria in the title, you know, they pull the ads from it or minimize the ads or, but to actually watch this happen, it's like, wow. And the reasoning they're doing for it. And the thing that's like, and I keep saying this is, you know, everyone's like, yeah, but look what happened at the Capitol. There's already laws on the books. Like you said, you can be an idiot. If you say, you know, go commit violence, that's not protected speech. And there's laws in place. They've arrested several hundred people who were at the Capitol building because clear laws were broken. You can't smash windows. You can't break in. You did that. If you're advocating, you know, like even Trump and Giuliani, there's a strong case that they were advocating for it in those speeches and maybe even on Twitter.
Giuliani actually said, let's go to the Capitol for trial by combat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, Giuliani didn't even know how to cover it at all. Like,
so there's laws in place for what they did. Right. And those two jackasses have a right to go to court and hire some parasite lawyers. And it's going to be in a court case and whatever. And if Giuliani and Trump end up in prison, I mean, that would be great, but they get to go to trial. They get to they just can't, it would just be like if, like you said, Fox News says all this crazy crap, 4 years of MSNBC and CNN pushing Russiagate. It would be like the FCC going, done, blackout. No more. You can't do anything. We're just shutting you down. You guys can't run ads. You can still do content, but you can't make any money from it.
Could you imagine if they said, yeah, CNN, no more advertisers.
No more ads. Fox News, no more ads. Like what? That would be like, you know, good luck. I mean, and so it's clear that they just, you know, it's funny. I had Dave Anthony on my show yesterday from the Dollop, and he brought up a great point. He said, you know, they've been doing, he goes, it was well before Trump or any of this crap. They've been doing this to socialists. I mean, like, I'm a socialist, right? There's a lot of any real lefties.
Right.
They put Eugene Debs in jail for just running for president as a socialist. They put him in jail for it.
Jill Stein was chained to a chair, locked in a room beneath the 2012 presidential debate for showing up on the grounds. Yes. And, you know, and I'd like I've talked about this endlessly, but I always like to repeat it because people just forget. And then when they remember, they think it's not real. Like, no, you can go look up articles. She and Sherry Honkala were arrested, chained to chairs during the entirety of the debate and then released out into the night without their phones once it was over. Like,
yeah. And they were surrounded like by big hulking guards. Like these two grandmotherly women are just like, yep, they're the devil. Like that's how you're treated in America. That's why being a dipshit vote any blue will do liberal is a safe space to be, because you can have your dumb, idiot, incremental centrism, let's be nice opinion, and no one's going to come after you because that you're totally supported in that. And it's like, and everybody on the left that was like, yeah, get rid of all these conservatives off of social media. I'm like, okay. So now they can say anybody's a domestic terrorist. Sunrise Movement, they're domestic terrorists.
And on top of this, you already see such large scale self-censorship, even if a lot of people are too small to be banned from these, you know, or they're not making a living from it. They're not making YouTube videos as a living. But you just see people like they're afraid to say things like people won't even talk about like, hey, we're bombing innocent civilians overseas. They're like, well, that sounds violent. I better not put that on my Twitter account. It's like, oh, we're not talking about all the people we're killing anymore, apparently.
Yeah. And like, yeah, I was having a conversation with Jimmy Dore about it. And he's like, man, I'm afraid to put, Syria in a title, or Yemen, or, because it's like,
I spell it with wingdings. That's been working for me though.
I mean, I'm tempted to just do like sock puppet videos and just call and create a character just like Saki has fun time, and Saki's just like, yay, Saki, and maybe we should pull troops out of Yemen or something, and maybe they or something like that, like stop bombing innocents. Oh, Saki, like.
I mean, it would certainly get a lot of viewers, I think. But yeah, so let's go down a list of things we are still allowed to talk about. We could cover your mojito recipe if you want to do that.
Yeah, my mojito. It'd be virgin one because I don't drink, so we could talk about that.
Yeah, your virgin mojitos. Things we've dressed up our ferrets as.
Right, because we both have.
Ferrets.
But
that's the big secret we've been keeping this whole time, is we're two ferret people and we've never revealed it.
I mean, let's be honest. If we're two guys that have ferrets, then we wear kilts. I mean, we wear kilts. We're guys that wear kilts.
We definitely wear kilts. We definitely wear kilts. And we have a huge blow up Andy Warhol doll on our couch.
I think that last comment is going to get us deplatformed. I think the last one crossed the line.
I mean, it's the fucking internet is just it really is just increasingly becoming this like, honestly, you just have to go there and just agree with just reality's great. And I'm just so happy. And here's a picture of something that means nothing anymore, because it's not even just like saying things that are outside the corporate talking points. You also can't, like, increasingly people who are like porn stars, like that is their living. They when webcam girls and guys and stuff like that. It's not even just that they can't post that shit. Like, they can't admit that's their profession on Twitter anymore. Like, if they're like, porn stars are just getting like purged off of all these platforms, even if they're not posting anything that's like nudity, right. You just can't acknowledge these realities are in the world anymore. You can't, Ford Fisher can't film a Trump rally and admit it's happening anymore. Like,
right. A peaceful Second Amendment rally. Like Jordan Sheridan was covering a peaceful Second Amendment rally,
which ended up being like almost nothing. He said there was more media there than actual gun rally, pro-gun people, and it got pulled down.
Yeah, pulled down. I mean, Jordan Sheridan has footage that his camera guy shot during the Capitol insurrection that CNN and all these channels are using, but he can't show it. Like, it's just preposterous. And I kind of, if I understand correctly, maybe it's just sort of a veiled suggestion. Are you suggesting I start an online porn webcam? Is that?
Oh, I thought you had a couple.
Oh, no. I mean, I think I'm going to, now that I lost my YouTube money, I guess I got to find.
Is that not the Rockfin channel? I thought that was the Rockfin channel.
Graham's Rockfin.
Rock Hard Bod, spelled with just a K.
Yeah, dude, this is one of the crazier weeks I've had to go through. Yeah, I don't even know what to do. Like, I mean,
I know you said you were talking to lawyers. Do they have any recommendations?
The lawyers definitely suggested online porn. I mean,
and like, ferrets.
They're like ferrets and porn, Graham. They're like, Graham, start sucking it. Like, you got to really make some money now. Because we're not cheap. Is what
they're like, in terms of the legal proceedings, we'd recommend you start doing porn.
Yeah, I don't care. Just male, female, whatever. Just make it hot and get it online. Is what they said. No, I did talk to them, and they were like, they're like, unfortunately, they can hide behind the veil of we're a private company right now.
Can't the U.S. government just say they're a private company now?
They might as well. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, we're beholden to Goldman Sachs and Boeing. We can't do anything. Right. They said reach out. They're like, do you have a liaison? I said, there's a guy that Jimmy has a liaison at YouTube. I know this. I've had a conversation with this person. I'm going to reach out to them. They're like, ask them. Maybe you can get, monetized again or get put back. So But I said to them, I go, look, I know about 10 shows that have been demonetized. Is there any sort of like class action lawsuit? They're like, right now, no. Because it's a big corporation. And so there isn't there, because they deliberately make these terms of service vague so that you can, there's no, we can't file any sort of grievance in the courts. Cause it's just like, oh, you have
and not even just vague. I think like, don't they just put in their contract, like, we can ban you for any reason at any time? Like,
just about.
Because they know no one's going to be like, I disagree with that. I'm not starting a channel.
Yeah. They're just like, which is to me, like what we need to try to do is really go to platforms like Rockfin that you're on, that I'm on, that Jordan's on, that Jimmy's on, that Kim Iverson's on, Whitney Webb's on, and really turn YouTube into MySpace and just make it a ghost town, and just ditch them and turn, so,
your channel is rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, correct?
That is correct.
And everyone should migrate over there. And mine's rockfin.com/Lee Camp. And most of our stuff is free, but you can also sign up for the premium and support all the work we're doing. And, I guess that's going to be the future. I mean, as furious as all this shit makes me, I also have endlessly believed that if you start succeeding at bringing down the empire, or even just putting out the ideas that will allow people to mentally evolve to beyond what the shit is that they're telling us, then they're going to come after you with increasingly harsh means. And, the first step one is demonetize. Step one is making it difficult for you to make a living doing what you're doing. Yeah. Step two is then banning you from these platforms. And then step three is they get into like arrests and things like that. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I see how it works. You get so frustrated and you can't make money that they're just hoping I quit, hoping I just.
You quit. Yeah. You quit or you back off your message. You sell out, you start doing stuff that's a little more corporate friendly.
Like TYT.
Right.
Which will never be demonetized. I mean, this isn't going to happen because Cenk can call the head of YouTube on his phone and just go, what's going on? You know? And I got to make Saki the new socialist puppet. So, I mean, that's what they're hoping I do, is just make surf videos and vegan smoothie recipes or whatever. So it's pretty nuts. And again, the thing I that's good about Rockfin, is the premium content gets all of our premium content, and their blockchain and their cryptocurrency. So I did an interview a week or so ago with the head of Rockfin, Martin, and, watch it and see how and I ask them all these questions, how it's done, and why they, why it's the future, because it's like, this is preposterous. And they even put a higher value on our content, and, a year ago, the Ray token was valued at about 17, 18 cents. Now it's at like $4. So already in a year, it's gotten more value. And, I'm hoping, I talked to Jimmy and he's going to be putting more content on Rockfin. So's Jordan. And I know you're doing stuff. So it's like, it's really, because I was really inspired last week by what Wall Street Bets did. Right. I mean, that was the most revolutionary form of activism I've seen. Nobody got shot with a rubber bullet. Nobody got arrested, none of that. And they took tens of billions of dollars out of Wall Street. And it was like, man. And some of the people, I'm sure, made profits, and, how great is it? Somebody put a $500 into a Robinhood account and pulled out 20 grand or whatever happened. Like, that's amazing. So, it's going to take that type of activism, because you and I both know, like, yes, I would love to see Google and YouTube become public utilities. How are we going to do that? We'll petition Congress to start. Oh, great. Now I got those idiots. Like, I'm sure AOC is going to tweet up a storm, but not pass one law. Like, I don't need the tweet squad, patting me on the head. So it's going to take I've had a bunch of fans this week say, Graham, I canceled my YouTube Red subscription. I'm moving over to Rockfin. And it's going to take that on a mass scale. I mean, imagine if several million people, that's what Wall Street Bets did. Imagine if several,
well, and let's remember, I mean, this type of thing can take years, but let's remember that YouTube started that way, right? YouTube was this like little tiny, like we can fucking do it little platform where you could upload videos, and they had competitors at the time like Daily Motion and stuff like that. And they just, and when we were on there, like it wasn't there, there weren't millions of people to see everything you did on YouTube. It just, you were like, well, the people that are there will see my shit, and I'll try and let more people know. And basically that's where Rockfin is now. Except that the difference is that it's not, rather than content creators being like the product, we're the, rather than them exploiting us, we're the people being rewarded for it.
Yeah, we're the owners. I mean, because we get paid in the token that they mine, we're all owners of Rockfin, and that's why I say, like, fans of mine are like, Graham, can I buy Ray tokens? I'm like, yes, you can. Go to rockfin.com. They'll show you how to do it. So you can viewer, you can be a part owner in this new cool thing. And look, it doesn't have all the amazing functionality that YouTube has right now, but it will. They already have an app for the iPhone. They just instituted the tip feature. So when you're live streaming, people can tip you like a super chat, because again, and that's been huge this week because YouTube took away that was a big part of my revenue, was people doing super chats. They took that away. And like, there's people watching this on Rockfin right now. Eric DeZango just did a tip on Rockfin. Thanks, man.
Fucking Eric.
David Guevara did. I love it. Zvitko is left. I know I just butchered your name. I apologize. You're a good human. You deserve better than what I just did to your name. Yves Luis, you guys are da bomb. No, don't say that. You can be. You're no, but in Rockfin, it's they don't censor us at all, man. Like I do this live stream Monday nights on Rockfin. It's for premium members only. I play music because they're not like, wow, copyright. Like, it's great. It's just me and my ferret, and it's just amazing. And,
and the ferret has a hat on, so people tune in. Yeah.
Ferret with a hat. That's my new show.
Yeah, man. Well, I hope we can get enough people so that this isn't hurting you too bad. I mean, I know my channel's next. I mean, I've been the super chats I've been donating to causes. So when they demonetize me, it'll be great to cut all that money going to Food Not Bombs and mutual aid and shit like that.
Well, that's good, because those organizations shouldn't have money.
Those bloated fucking multi-thousand $1,000 organizations
with all their volunteers and barely paid staff. Yeah. Those non-for-profits, I'm tired of them putting their boot on my neck. So I don't know. I guess, Lee, I don't know. It's your call. If you want to finish the JFK series, I'm all for it, because I don't care if they come at me some more. But
of course, I've been prepping all day for it. Of course, I want to finish it.
Government Secrets, Part 3 of the JFK assassination / Graham demonetization reason.
Oh man, and I would argue that those two things are equally horrible.
Thank you, Lee. I really appreciate that. But I think the assassination of a president, it might be a half a click above some dipshit vegan losing his ability to buy surfboards. So
oh, the green smoothies are gonna get a little less green. The tint is gonna go a little more brown, because you got to buy the older veggies to put in the smoothies.
Got to buy like bagged, frozen, canned veggies. I can't. It's going to be horrifying.
Yeah, no, and also it's not like I worry that if we keep covering JFK, they're going to demonetize me. Like I've been doing horrible, in their view, horrible shit, meaning non-neoliberal, non-neocon talking point shit for years. So yeah, if they want to get me, they'll get me. But
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, I know. So yes, so this is part 3. I intended for this to be the final part, but I have a ridiculous number of notes, and on top of that, we just spent a half hour on demonetization. But
so there's going to be a part 4?
There either is a part 4, or we don't actually get to the part where JFK is killed.
Maybe no ending to the JFK series. Pew, pew, pew. Just like the truth.
No, I don't know. We can do whatever you want, but I'm just going to start going, and we'll see where this goes.
All right, dude. I'm down with whatever.
And you know what? You tap out whenever you want. You just say, "Listen, I am fucking bored. I'll tap out right now." Or bring in your ferret or something.
I'll bring in Saki and the ferret. And then when they start talking, the ferret start talking. Then you kind of know. Maybe wrap it up.
So, all right. So for those who are tuning in now and haven't heard the first 2 parts, please listen to the first 2 parts. Basically, I gave the proof that JFK was not shot from the back. He was shot from the front, or at least also shot from the front, but probably exclusively shot from the front. And on top of that, I also gave the part 2 was the background as to why JFK was being assassinated, everything that had led up to that. And, it's pretty irrefutable when you lay it all out. Now I wanted to get into.
Hold on. I have to interject because according to YouTube, they put that banner under your channel saying Wikipedia says it was Lee Harvey Oswald. Stop lying, you creeps, is what they said.
And somehow managed to get in. They have 3 sentences underneath our video. Somehow managed to get in that he was a Marxist who once visited the Soviet Union.
Of course, yeah.
As if you were to sit down with someone and be like, "Give me 3 sentences, the most important things of the JFK assassination," they'd be like, "Oswald's a Marxist." But anyway,
yes.
So I want to get into Oswald here. Lee Harvey Oswald. We know he was ex-military, or he was. I think he was still current military at that time. But the question is, was he associated with the CIA? So then you get into James Angleton, who I have not read a lot about James Angleton, although I know he is there's whole books on this guy and how horrific he was and overseeing multiple assassinations. And so there's a lot about, so for anybody out there who's like, why didn't they mention that Angleton, cut off Fred Hampton's cock in 1942? Well, I'm sure I know that all that stuff's out there. I just haven't read up on Angleton, but I know he's horrific. Anyway, he was the head of the CIA's counterintelligence unit from 1954 to 1974. Angleton had authority over their assassinations, basically, among other things. And now notes later reveal that the assassination program included instructions on, if you're going to have a patsy for an assassination you're doing. Now, these are revealed later, years later, in FOIA requests and things like that, or commissions. If you're going to have a patsy, you should associate them with either the Soviet Union or the Czechs in order to blame it on our enemies, basically. And you can, and the note also said, you can create counter-espionage files about them that you doctor to make it look like, they come from the past or whatever. So basically say, oh, well, we knew he was going to do some shit. We have this file on him showing he's connected to the Soviet Union. I mean, this was standard operating procedure for them back then. And in the 1970s, the Senate's Church Committee on Intelligence revealed that Angleton's Special Investigations Group held a 201 file, which is like a personnel file showing investigation, on Oswald 3 years prior to JFK's assassination. So Angleton at the CIA is looking into, they have a 201 file on Oswald 3 years prior to JFK's assassination. Now, in all this committee, the Warren Commission, everything, we know that the CIA is told they will lie, and they have stated this. They will lie under oath when they're asked to reveal whether they're CIA. If they can't, they won't. So they'll say, no, I'm not CIA. So we know all of that is lies. If they say Oswald's not CIA, it doesn't matter. However, they kind of accidentally revealed that Oswald was connected to the CIA. because they were asked. So Angleton's associate Ann Eggeter said under oath during these investigations after the assassination that Angleton's Special Investigations Group was, quote, charged with the investigation of CIA personnel who were suspected one way or another. So that gives away that Oswald was either CIA or CIA affiliated. Like, there'd be no file about him 3 years in advance unless he was CIA or connected to the CIA. I mean, there's just no denying that.
Well, yeah, there is. If you're YouTube, you can just deny it. There's, so we've talked about this before. Google owns YouTube. Julian Assange's book, When WikiLeaks Met Google, he talks about how Google and Eric Schwartz, the head of, have been working with the CIA since 2011. We put up these JFK videos, and that ridiculous thing is posted under them. And then I get demonetized, and Lee Harvey Oswald has a personnel file with the CIA. None of these things seem to relate to me. I don't see the connections. I mean, Janet Yellen got speaking fees with Google. Google pulled down all of the 1-star Robinhood reviews after the GameStop, Wall Street Bets people got denied they couldn't do any more trading. It's like, I think, I was on Jordan Sheridan's show earlier today, and he brought up a good point. He goes, like, trying to protest the Democratic Party is useless. We need to start protesting Google and YouTube and these media outlets. Like, that's where it needs to go, because look what they're involved in. Yeah. And now they just control every little thing, and they're literally collecting data for the CIA.
And the head of the former head of Google, he was the head of Alphabet, which is the head of the umbrella above Google. Eric Schmidt left that job to go create things for the Hillary campaign.
Right. Yeah, I said Eric Schwartz. Eric Schmidt. Yeah, that's the guy. Eric Schmidt. Yeah.
Did I say Schwartz? I meant Schmidt. Eric Schmidt is connected completely to Hillary Clinton, and this is the head of Google.
And yet we're all supposed to believe Russia hacked the election.
Yeah, I know. Even that lie has become so pervasive that even Pompeo, in this interview he just did, so this is after he's left, he goes, well, let's remember that happened when Biden was vice president. And I'm like, so wait, even Pompeo, who lies about everything, is now saying Russia hacked the election to put Donald Trump in office? Oh, man.
And then blames it on Biden. This is how insane it is. They're just all lying every day. It's like a lot. They just can't keep all the lies straight. So then
that's actually, as I continue in this, it's going to be very clear. I'm not trying to stop you. I'm just saying it's going to become very clear that they can't keep their lies about Oswald straight. And it all kind of pancakes on top of itself. And they're like, fuck, we have way too many Oswald stories, Oswald evidence that doesn't connect to the plot we're trying to put forward. I'll just keep going. So the CIA finance officer, Jim Wilcott, another theme you'll see as I keep going is that various people have come forward and usually horrible things happen to them.
We've been talking about since you first did this. All the there's one medical examiner, fell on a thing of steak knives outside the volcano or whatever.
Right. So CIA finance officer Jim Wilcott and his wife come forward. They were both with the CIA. They were doing finance. They both came forward and they confirmed that Oswald had served with the CIA. As a double agent in the Soviet Union. So Oswald is ostensibly military. He then leaves the military and becomes a defector in the Soviet Union. But really, it becomes clear he was a double agent for the CIA to spy on the Soviet Union.
Sure.
But the problem was when he came back to the U.S., or maybe even while he was still in the Soviet Union, I don't know the dates, but he became the CIA became suspicious of him. So it's like a triple, he pretends he's defecting to the Soviet Union. He's actually spying on the Soviet Union. But during that time, the CIA starts thinking, we're not so sure about this guy. So they opened the 201 file, the investigation into whether Oswald has like turned or, gone rogue or something. So both Wilcots, him and his wife, come forward and confirm that Oswald trained at the CIA station in Tokyo, Japan. They resigned from the CIA in 1966, and they were revealed they were told by certain agents that the CIA was indeed involved in the assassination of JFK. The Wilcots, over time, paid the price for coming forward. Even though they were no longer with the CIA, they were forced out of their post-CIA jobs that were not CIA connected, but the FBI and others went to their employers and basically got them fired. They received threatening calls, letters, had their tires slashed. Jim Wilcott became an activist, nonviolently blocking weapons shipments and holding vigils in the 1980s. He was disabled by a rare nerve disorder, but kept protesting until he died of cancer in 1994. So that's one example of people revealing too much and then they're, end up meeting with a lot of problems. But in the months leading up to the assassination, Oswald was apparently being set up as a patsy. And it seems that the CIA has multiple patsies that they're kind of setting up at any given time. You generally don't know the names of any of the others because if they're not used, no one talks about them. You don't even know you were being set up. So they were setting up multiple people. One of them we do find out about, which I'll get into in a minute. But so it made sense that they could move him wherever they wanted to. Initially, he said he was moving to D.C. Then that changes. He moves to Dallas. He was in New Orleans not long before that. So it makes sense that they can move him around wherever they need to move him. And they decide to move him to Dallas a few months before Kennedy's coming to Dallas. I'm going to jump back and forth with some of the timeline because it's tough to keep it all straight. But there becomes this like Oswald draw attention behavior where there is an Oswald or an Oswald lookalike running around Dallas, mostly Dallas, although other places too, and doing things that are like demanding people pay attention and be like, that was fucking bizarre. So like he raises a ruckus in Mexico at the Soviet and Cuban embassies, just like such a fucking degree that they're like, this guy's fucking crazy, like demanding, the papers to allow him to go to Russia, go to Cuba, and very memorable shit. He came into a gun range being loud and spouting that he was an ex-Marine. Then he shoots on someone else's target, which is, if you're at a gun range, the person's like, why the fuck are you shooting my target? And then he glares at him, and 3 witnesses say that Oswald or someone like him was the guy there. The Warren Commission throws out most of these testimonies because there was too much proof of Oswald behaving like a fucking maniac. And it just becomes evident that like they had clearly someone that looked like somewhat like Oswald. I don't think he would have to look that much like him, but someone like Oswald running around and dropping obvious clues about who they are or what they planned. So like, but the Warren Commission ultimately doesn't need all this evidence. It's too much. It actually refutes their plot because he's in multiple places at the same time. He's supposed to be in Mexico, but he's running around Dallas doing fucking bizarre shit. He went into a car. He goes to test drive a car, and he says his name is Lee Oswald. He tells the guy, I'm Lee Oswald. He drives the car like 85 miles per hour, and the guy's like in the car with him. Salesman is like, what the fuck are you doing? Chill out. And then he goes to buy the car, and the guy says, I need a credit check. And so he says, fuck this, and storms out and yells at him, I might have to go back to Russia to get a good car. And like, it's like all these things where if you were former military, former CIA and you were planning to kill a president, you would do you would be completely quiet. You would like not do all this shit that's just like, please pay attention to me. Please remember me in 2 weeks when the president is killed.
Oh, it's so like, God, it's so just like, this is perfect. Like, oh, and again, the stuff you're saying in this book that is fact, then now here we are in 2020. And YouTube puts he was a Marxist. This is part of that same tactic. Right. Like they're still in the same way they had some, whatever doppelganger going, I can buy cars in Russia. Lee Harvey Oswald said it, like it's the same thing. Like, oh, now, well, look, hey man, I saw this. YouTube is saying, and it's like the thing that's so insane about it is Americans to this day, over 56, 60%, something like that, still believe that something happened. The government, like Lee Harvey Oswald, did not kill JFK. I mean, people still dispute this to this day. So the fact that they're doubling down on this.
Right. Well, you've seen them double down for like my entire life. Like whenever I would see, JFK or something mentioned, and it's like, if anyone would dare question the standard story, then they would always be like, well, there's this crazy person who says, nah. Like they would always write it off. And it was almost like thou doth protest too much. It's like, why? Like if you believe the real story is that this one crazy guy shot Kennedy from behind from the book depository, wouldn't you want all the information to come out? Instead, it is like all the way back to the Warren Commission. It is this endless effort to throw out tons of information.
And the thing that's so nuts about what happened, like to me, first that thing on, on our YouTube channels and then me getting demonetized, looked like mainstream media. I've seen like CBS had like a marksman trying to do it and he couldn't do it. Like mainstream media has covered this story too. Like, and talked about the conspiracies and have said, whoa, have asked questions and stuff like that. All the documentaries, all the books, all the stuff that has happened. And yet,
but you'll notice what they like to do is they like to say, maybe there was a second person, and they kind of like leave it at that. They don't want to get into government involvement.
Right. It is just like there was a second shooter, not it was the CIA that coordinated all of it. Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So one of the biggest, I'm gonna get into two giant ones. Like, why would the Warren Commission throw out this ridiculously obvious evidence? So there's two letters, actually, two separate letters. One is brought into the FBI field office in Dallas, November 6th. So this is a couple of weeks before the assassination, but same city, Dallas. And it's a man walks in, angrily throws a letter down in front of the receptionist. This is the FBI field office. Throws it down, says it's for Agent Hosty. And the secretary sees that the part of the letter that's sticking out of the envelope says, quote, blow up the Dallas FBI office. And it's signed Lee Harvey Oswald. So she sees that, which it seems probably intended for her to see. And so she pulls the letter out and reads it. And it's a threat from Oswald to Agent Hosty to blow up the field office in Dallas because he's furious with the FBI. And at first glimpse, this seems great for the Warren Commission story. This guy is a maniac. He wants to blow up the FBI office. Perfect. We'll show this letter. Done deal. But the problem is it raises too many questions. For one, why didn't the FBI tell the Secret Service about this maniac who wanted to blow up the FBI office? And secondly, it again had Oswald in too many places. I don't remember this exact same time, but he's supposed to be at the embassies in Mexico, or he's supposed to be somewhere else in Dallas. But whatever it is, it's got Oswald in too many places. So the FBI destroys the letter. This was in the fucking New York Times, for God's sakes. In 1975, the New York Times had a front page article, because that was when they finally found out about this letter. 1975. it comes out the FBI destroys this letter after Kennedy's killed. Agent Hosty testified to this fact that he was told by his superior to destroy the letter, get rid of it. And the New York Times in their article says that the decision was at the highest levels, which likely means Hoover. So Hoover and others decided, get rid of this fucking letter. Now, why would you want to ignore this amazing piece of evidence that shows that Oswald is a maniac who wants to blow up the FBI office? Because it wasn't actually Oswald. It was intended to create evidence around this patsy, and then it ended up not being useful because too many places at once, and it makes the FBI look like a bunch of fucking idiots.
Look, fellas, we got too much patsy evidence. Did they just get into a room full of people and they didn't plan this? They just go, get a bunch of patsy evidence. Like, just be all over the place. Like, deliberately be chaotic. So it's like Oswald's everywhere. Oswald has superpowers. Like, he's a shapeshifter.
I think they had one guy who looked a little like Oswald who ran around saying, my name's Oswald, but yelling things about Russia, getting mad at embassies, like just designed to lay a trail. But the trail, when you put it all together, actually is all over the place. So
my guess is just to keep the whole, again, this distraction of it wasn't coordinated by the CIA. You know what I mean? Like, just oh, Oswald's nuts. We don't know. Maybe he was here. Maybe he was there. Oh, did he want to blow up the FBI? Like, oh, crazy. Like it was like either they're just blundering morons, like they're run by Gilligan, or it's like that's part of the patsy distraction plan, is to just give enough evidence to get people wondering.
I mean, my feeling is that we want to believe, because they've kind of gotten away with it, we want to believe that these guys are infallible. Also, you watch James Bond and you think, oh, CIA agents are just, these guys are incredible and they just know everything and they have everything planned down to the most minor detail. And it's like, no, they're actually human beings who plan a lot of nefarious shit, and some of it goes wrong and some of it doesn't add up. And you have different departments that are not really speaking to each other. That, there's the patsy department with Oswald. Oswald's got a handler, and there's and they're not sitting down and being like, here's the blueprint. To a degree, I mean, to a certain degree they are. They got a vague blueprint, but they didn't have enough of a blueprint to make sure Oswald's not in multiple places at once. And so this stuff ends up conflicting because, it's the same reason they got spot. I mean, I don't know if we'll get into it at halftime this episode, but the people spotted the fucking gunman. Like, that wasn't supposed to happen. And so it's like they fuck up and then they run around cleaning up their fuck up.
Right. So that makes more sense. That they're just do this in this department and that department. And then they're just constantly, because I mean, we've talked about this before on the show of just the CIA collateral, the blowback, as they call it, just let's do this thing. And then they didn't think it through. Oh, there's blowback. Well, we'll cover that up and we'll lie about that. And then that lie made it bigger and a worse lie. Well, then we'll just blame Russia or whatever they do.
Yeah. And actually, so I mentioned there's two letters. The second letter likely gets thrown out because the blowback could have been nuclear war. So the second letter was from Oswald to the Soviet embassy in D.C., dated November 18th, 1963, 4 days before the murder. Now, Oswald had sent letters to the embassy before, but this one is particularly interesting. It's signed by Lee H. Oswald. It's three paragraphs, basically lay the blame for the assassination at Russia's door. And some of those, so one of the sentences is in the letter, this is to inform you of recent events since my meetings with Comrade Kostin in the Soviet embassy in Mexico City. Now, the Warren Commission said Costin clearly referred to Valery Kostikov, the KGB head in charge of terrorist activities in the Western Hemisphere. So this is no small level guy. This is like their top fucking assassination terrorist activities guy. And here Oswald is sending this letter to the embassy days before the assassination, basically saying, well, I didn't get to the where I have the key sentence. The key sentence is he says something about to complete our business. And, you know, it's time to complete our business or something like that. And here's the thing is you kind of have two options here. Do you believe that Oswald is this really well-trained double agent working for the KGB, fucking knows all his shit, takes out the president with Kennedy with fucking amazing marksmanship. This guy's fucking, he is James Bond, fucking incredible. Or is he a bumbling moron? Because the Russians and anyone the Russians worked with knew that embassy, the most important U.S. embassy for Russia at the time, D.C., well, today too, all of their mail is read by the FBI. It does not go straight to them. It is grabbed by the FBI. Copies are made. It is then forwarded to the Soviet embassy. So the Soviets immediately know that this letter from Oswald is, oh shit, we lost Graham. You back?
Hold on. Yeah, I had an internet thing. I think we're all good. Can everyone in the chat make sure you can hear okay? Yeah, I think we just had a quick internet thing. Has nothing to do with us talking about this subject. Yeah, okay. It's all good. It's all good. Sorry, you were saying. Go back a little bit because it kind of froze and then went blank for a second.
Well, I was just saying the Soviets know that all their mail is checked by the FBI. This is like overly obvious. They know it. The FBI obviously is doing it. And so anyone that Soviets were actually working with would know all of our mail coming in here is checked by the FBI. So you think that they coordinate with Oswald to kill the president of the United States and told Oswald, yeah, just send letters to the Soviet embassy that talk about assassinating the president. That's fine. Yeah, sure. Sure, that's fine.
It makes sense to me. I mean, it totally makes sense to me. Like, this is like, yeah, again, they contradict each other. So yeah, either Oswald was this three-dimensional chess genius or just a bumbling moron. It's just so sloppy. And honestly, the same sort of sloppiness of this last Russia gate. Like they just had to try to pin it on everything. I mean, they tried, oh, Russia was involved in the Capitol uprising. Like Russia was involved in everything. Like
Right.
it's, you know, they were talking about Russia 2 weeks. I saw somebody before the election on CBS was like, Russia's probably meddling. And then Biden wins and there's no mention of it. So it's like, this just is probably just, you know, this is where it started of just like, I'll send some letters.
Well, you know,
just send it.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Whoever was planning to kill the president, even if you don't think it was the CIA, they realized it could serve two purposes. It gets rid of the president. That last episode we went over why they wanted to take him out, and it also recreates the Cold War, which Kennedy was working behind, you know, back channels to create peace with the Soviet Union. Like, that is beyond clear, and he gave speeches that made that clear. So it stops the peace with Soviet Union and restarts the Cold War, or puts fuel on the fire, and, you know, justifies all of our shit in Vietnam and Indonesia and everything. So that was their goal. But the problem was this letter and some of this other shit to frame the Soviet Union was too much. And Johnson, I think, and maybe Hoover, feared that it could create a nuclear war. Like, if it came out that the Soviet Union had legitimately just killed our president, like, you have nuclear annihilation up at the top of the chart of consequences.
Yeah.
So Hoover calls Johnson the following day, after Kennedy is killed. And this call is, I guess, on the record or taped or whatever. Calls Johnson and tells him about this letter. He says the FBI has a copy of this letter from Oswald to the Soviet embassy. But Hoover specifically, while revealing this to Johnson, does not say that it references the business we have to finish like it's about assassination. And you're like, why would Hoover leave out the most crucial piece of this letter? And it's because Hoover realized this letter was a problem, not a benefit to them. It didn't help their situation. And it threats, it creates a threat of nuclear war, which Johnson realized, even without getting that key piece of information, Johnson realizes this is bad. This could create nuclear war. Also, there's an easy argument to make that Johnson might have known what was about to happen, so he knew that this wasn't the Soviet Union who killed Kennedy. Who knows? But so Johnson decides not to use the letter. The Warren Commission decides not to use the letter. Johnson makes clear, and we have quotes about this, to get rid of this Mexico business. Basically, don't talk about Oswald in the Mexican embassy demanding, the Soviet embassy. Don't talk about this letter to the Soviet embassy saying we need to complete our business. And then Boris Yeltsin gave to Bill Clinton in 1999 documents that had not been revealed until then, showing that after Oswald was killed and after he killed Kennedy, the Soviets knew they had this letter and they had to decide what to do with it. And they knew the FBI was reading their mail. And so they contacted the FBI, they contacted the DC, whatever, the president or someone on his staff on November 26th. And they said to them, look, we have this letter that's supposed to be from Oswald. It's pretty clear forgery. For one thing, Oswald, when he actually wrote to us, was handwritten. This one's typed. And we believe it was meant to set us up. So, and this is revealed to Yeltsin to Bill Clinton in 1999, that they called DC and said, someone before Kennedy was assassinated sent this letter pretending to be Oswald to frame Oswald. Like, that is fucking mind-blowing.
These guys are so, it's so sinister and so tangled. It's hard to it's really hard to get your head around on the one level, but then on the other level you go, well, they're just all about this evil crap. So of course they do all this shit, but it's just like, it never ends. I mean, it's like, and Yeltsin showing Clinton this letter. And of course, Clinton just, whatever he did, nothing with it, or I don't know, took it to Epstein's Island or whatever the hell he
I think he masturbated into it and then rubbed it on Epstein's face, I think.
That makes sense. I don't even all the stuff you're saying is so it makes sense. It just is more evidence as to how it was the CIA had JFK killed and the lengths that they went to.
But to me, it's like, I like to, as I was reading, so again, I've said this in the past episodes, but most of this is from the book, JFK and the Unspeakable, great book, and heavily sourced. Like, everything has footnotes telling you where they're getting it. But I like to play the game of, let's say I believe the official story.
Sure. What
would I need to believe to understand this situation here, or this witness here, or this one, And for this, okay, you let's say you want to believe that Oswald sent the letter, but he didn't mean any significant business. He just meant, I'm trying to get some papers in order or whatever. Well, then you have to ask yourself, why does the Warren Commission throw it out? Like, they throw it out. And actually, so I want to go through one more part of this, and then we can wrap it up and probably complete it next week or something. But this becomes a major problem. This is probably, of all the eyewitnesses that they want to throw out and ignore, this letter becomes the biggest problem for them, because it's not just an eyewitness saying, I saw a guy who looked like Oswald. This is a fucking handwritten note signed by Oswald that arrives at the type note that arrives days before the fucking assassination. How do you explain that? Like, you either have to blame the Soviet Union for the assassination of the president or come up with some crazy theory as to what the fuck was going on here. And so they do. They work.
Of course they choose the crazy option. Of course they do.
They choose Operation Crazy.
Project Wingnut.
So here's Project Wingnut. They bring in Ruth Payne as a witness to the Warren Commission. Ruth Payne was she was basically CIA, we've got to assume. She became Oswald's benefactor in Dallas. She got him a job. He was hanging out in her house. She did all these things for him. She gets him the job at the book depository that oversees the route Kennedy will take at the turn that forces the motorcade to slow down to a crawling speed. So she helped him get that job and helped him get his boarding house. She testifies that she saw Oswald type the letter to the embassy at her house, and then she decided to grab the handwritten version that was his rough draft and keep it. Because what? So she has this quote unquote rough draft version of the handwritten of the typed letter that goes to the embassy that has some slight changes to it. In it, the rough draft, the phrase, "it's time to complete our business," is replaced with, "it's time to assist me and get the necessary documents I require." So basically, Oswald, we're supposed to believe Oswald hand wrote a version of this where he has the sentence, "Listen, Soviet embassy, it's time to assist me and help me get the documents I require." And then in the final version, switches that to "it's time to complete our business." Why would you take out information for the final draft? It makes no sense. But they needed to create a version of this letter that didn't imply we're working with you to assassinate the president. So Ruth Payne brings this forward. By the way, there's other hilarious things about this note, such as the fact that from the rough draft, so Oswald was supposed to be a bad speller. In almost all of his notes, there's a lot of bad spelling. In the rough draft actually has fewer spelling errors, meaning he goes from the handwritten rough draft to the typed version and creates more spelling errors. Because that's what you do when you write a rough draft, you know? So, but anyway, so the Warren Commission then decides the rough draft is the official it will be the official version, will be the real version. And we're going to ignore the one sent to the embassy. And the final, like, icing on the cake is they give the version to that rough draft back to Ruth Payne after her testimony to disappear forever. This is evidence in the assassination of the president. They give it back to her and they're like, "Hey, you take that home. You do whatever you want with that."
I love the audacity. I gotta say, I love the just arrogant, like, change the letter. Yeah, but there's spelling errors. Who cares? Get her to do this. Get her to that. Like, they just I mean, like, I don't know, like, it's on a much deeper scale than just some criminal that, like, you know, they run out of a bank with a bag of money and the cops arrest them like, "Oh, I didn't come out of that bank." And they're like, no, we saw you come out of that bank. They just, this is a whole new level of insanity to just, like, and then all the money and time and effort put into this, write this letter, get another version, get rid of the original, throw that one away, say, this is get her to testify. Like, it's just at every turn, it's just cleaning up this mess.
Yeah.
They keep
cleaning up a massive mess.
Yeah. At every turn. And yeah, I don't know. They're so evil and sinister. I don't know why they don't just come out and just say, we're in charge. We're evil and sinister. Do what we say. I don't know why they go through the theatrics of this. Like, well, we had a Warren Commission. It was official. It's done. Like, no, nobody believes you. Like, I don't get it, but I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's truly fucking incredible. I'm sorry, folks. I know I said this to be a 3-part series. We'll have to conclude this next time because we're getting to an epic episode here.
Well, this feels a lot like Leafgate. Like it keeps going every time we thought Leafgate was
like I said, of equal import.
Well, it begs the question before we wrap up here: was the CIA involved in my Leaf getting smashed?
I mean, I got to assume. I mean, I figure that the big oil has just been running around destroying electric cars around the country.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe that a tire just comes off. So it's the magic tire theory that one tire smashed my car, hit another car. I think there was a second tire somewhere.
Also, the woman that was driving that, she's no one's heard from her again. I think she's changed her name. She shaved her head. Yeah,
she's somewhere in some Shaolin temple up in China. We don't know where she is. So it's very weird. It's very weird. Yeah, all right. So we'll
JFK assassination part 3 of 4 will be continued next week.
We hope.
Unless Graham's arrested.
Well, that was, I mean, this keeps, I thought I knew a lot about the JFK cover up, but this book clearly is, I mean.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's like some of it, like, he's referencing New York Times articles. It's like, you need someone who's like devoted their life to putting these pieces together to just find them all. Like, yes, there was a front page New York Times article in 1975 about this letter being destroyed by the FBI. But no, as of 1976, no one talked about it again. Like,
ever. Like, they spent, the better part of 10 years covering that up. And then that's why they were probably like, let's get disco going. Get everybody dancing, asking questions.
You know what'll fry their brains is this fucking music.
Just disco, put more drugs in this. Yes, drugs and disco. Bell bottoms, say free sex. Just make them all getting laid and dancing. Done. Stop asking questions. And then when they come out of their doped up, sex crazed, they're hungover from just fucking cocaine, disco, and sex. Hey, let's start Wall Street. Then we'll just give them a bunch of money in the 80s. We'll keep them distracted. That's fantastic. And now you got video games, and now you can buy anything you want online. Just keep you distracted.
Oh my God, the level of distraction now is just off the charts. It's fucking incredible.
It's so great, and
I mean, people log onto the internet, and it's as if they're like, taking a ride, like the log flume, and they just whatever hits them in the face is just that's their reality for the day. Just like they don't. People don't have like an agenda. Like, I'm gonna go learn about something. They just it's just like logging on, just like and then so whatever the fucking corporations and the government and whoever else wants to shove in their face, that's what they take it. Like, there's no like I'm gonna educate myself today. It's just like
and then like you drop a thing, and then like, the Jurassic monster comes out. It's really just like that's what America is. We're just in one big log flume running around.
Absolutely.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this log flume.
All right, folks, if you want to see this show continue and Graham Elwood continue, then you should go to rockfin.com/Graham Elwood and support this insane motherfucker.
It's support my show before I'm in Gitmo. So
if you want to Gitmo Graham Elwood, go to rockfin.com/Graham Elwood.
We're doing blockchain Gitmo Graham. All right. Gitmo Graham. We should make Gitmo Graham shirts.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Lee, where can people support all the fine work you're doing?
I'm at rockfin.com/Lee Camp. And new Redacted Tonight airs tonight. You can watch part of that at youtube.com/Redacted Tonight, but you can get the full episode at portable.tv. Just click on the shows and then go to Redacted Tonight. But yeah, all my stuff's at leecamp.com. That's probably the best place to find most of it.
Right on. Well, folks, and of course, if you're listening to this Government Secrets on iTunes or whatever, download it, positive reviews, all that stuff, 5-star stuff, that all helps. Subscribe to Lee's YouTube channel. Subscribe to mine, but it's kind of useless right now. So go to rockfin.com/Graham Elwood and support all the stuff we're doing, man. Like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. All those analytics helps, even when Google is basically trying to make it like I wrote a letter to the Soviet embassy. So I misspelled the second time or whatever.
Weirdly, he misspelled Graham, which you'd think he'd learn by now. But...
yeah, it's all these letters where he misspelled his own name. American people will buy it. All right. Well, thanks. That's Government Secrets, episode 28 in the books. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, man. I'll see you soon.
All right, dude. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood and rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, where you can support the show. Also, I have a Bitcoin wallet, a Bitcoin Cash wallet, and an Ethereum wallet in the show notes. We're taking cryptocurrency. I have a Coinbase affiliation link. We're going to be getting on some other exchanges. So that's how you support the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. YouTube is unsubscribing us at an alarming rate. I have a PayPal button at grahamelwood.com. I even have a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. There's a lot of ways to support our show. We are getting crushed by YouTube. We've dipped under 73,000 subscribers because of YouTube. Thanks for supporting what we do.